Once upon a time, in the land of India, there lived a king. In fact, we'll call him Maharaja, for in India, kings are called Maharajas. And this Maharaja was happy. He had a beautiful wife, the queen. He had plenty of wealth. He had a wide kingdom, full of prosperity and happiness. He had one problem, and that was that him and the queen had not a child. He prayed and prayed daily to the gods in order that they bless him with a child. And one day, he was walking in his beautiful gardens, and he tripped over something among the flowers. He looked to see what it was, and it wasn't a stone or a tree stump, but a bottle over which he had tripped, a glass bottle. And as he took it up, he noticed with amazement that it contained a human baby. He took it straight to his advisors, and ever so carefully, they cracked it open, releasing the baby inside. It was a baby girl, and he took her straight to his wife, the queen, and together they raised that girl as their own daughter, and they called her Sita, and she grew into a beautiful princess. And when the time came that she should be married, the king had a problem. You see, in India, it is the tradition that the parents should decide who their son or daughter marries. But, seeing as Sita was a gift from the gods, and not the king's own daughter, he didn't feel it was his place to decide who she married. So he prayed. He prayed to the wise Lord Shiva, and Shiva gave him the answer in a dream. Shiva said to him that the one to marry Sita should be the one who could string his great bow. And when the king awoke from his dream, he saw at the foot of his bed Shiva's sacred bow. And so the competition began. All the strongest warriors and the bravest heroes from all over India flocked to the Maharaja's kingdom to try their hand at stringing Shiva's bow. But even the strongest of them failed. One day, the demon king Ravana, king of the island Lanka that sits off the southernmost tip of India, came to see if he could win Sita's hand in marriage. Imagine how poor Sita's heart sank as she saw the red demon king sneer at her as he passed her table and cackle to himself, sure of his victory. But even with his 4 arms rippling with muscles, even with his magical powers, he could not shift that string 1 inch. Now the very next person to try was a prince named Rama, who had travelled down from the north of India with his brothers. Rama was a kind and humble prince, and when he passed Sita's table, he bowed low so his head touched the ground before her feet. Sita thought to herself how nice it would be to wed this handsome young prince. But if the demon king Ravana with his strength and magical powers has failed, how can Rama succeed? But I'll let you into a little secret about Rama. You see, Rama, inside, had the soul of a god, Vishnu. You see, Vishnu had sent his Atman, his soul, down to be incarnated, born in a human body, that of the Prince Rama. And he had done this for one express purpose: to kill the demon king Ravana. Ravana was powerful beyond belief. He had even dreamed of making his own solar system. He ruled on the island of Lanka. He had an army of demons to serve him. He had placed a spell on the island so that whenever anyone opened a book, it would set fire in their hands, so he would remain the cleverest person on the island and rule there for eternity. The only thing that he was afraid of were the gods becoming upset with his powers. And so he had had a powerful spell cast upon himself that meant that no god or goddess could ever kill him. And this is why the great Lord Vishnu, in his wisdom, had sent his Atman down to be born into the body of Rama. And so Rama stepped up to the podium and took Shiva's bow in his hand, and not one of the audience there knew that in fact, as Lord Vishnu, he had strung Shiva's bow many times, and he had the knack. He pulled it back as far as it would go, and fuck! The whole assembly cheered. Sita was overjoyed that Rama was to be her husband. He was overjoyed that the beautiful Sita would be his wife. The only one who was not happy in that room was Ravana. He was sick with jealousy, and as the happy couple passed him, he uttered a curse under his breath. "A curse upon your nurse," said he. Now, it might sound like a very strange curse, a curse upon your nurse. Why not curse Rama himself or Sita? But the true destruction of this curse will become apparent a little later in the story. But for now, the couple were happy, and they travelled back up to the north of India, to Rama's kingdom, to his brothers and to his father, the Maharaja Dasaratha, and they lived happily for many, many years. Until one day, the Maharaja Dasaratha decided that he was getting too old for the duties of kingship, and he should pass the crown on to his eldest son, Rama. The ceremony was prepared. There was going to be a great feast and a party. The people were overjoyed that their favourite prince, Rama, was to rule them as Maharaja. But on the eve of the coronation, the old nurse, the nurse who had raised the three boys, and the old Maharaja himself, took him aside. She explained to him that she had got this idea in her head, that Rama was not destined to be Maharaja. Indeed, it was only his youngest brother that was fit for being king. The Maharaja Dasaratha had no time for her ideas. He explained to her that it was tradition that the eldest son should take the duties of kingship. But she reminded him that she had saved his life a long time ago, and when she had done so, he had granted her one wish. Whatever it should be, he would make it come true for her. And now she was calling in that favour. She demanded that Rama and his brother Lakshmana be banished, exiled for 14 years from the kingdom, and that in their absence their youngest brother should rule as Maharaja in their stead. The king knew that he had to make good on his promise, that his honour was at stake, and so he called his sons to him. And the next morning, instead of being dressed in princely robes and a crown, Rama wore simple traveller's clothes, and he set off on his journey with his brother Lakshmana and Sita at his side. And they walked and they walked and they walked, and after many lefts and many rights, they were deep in the forest. And there they lived. And do you know what? It was lovely. They fed on wild berries and fruits from the trees. They drank the clear water of mountain springs, and they befriended the animals. The monkeys and the bears adored Sita especially. Every morning they would bring her wild honey to eat. Every day she would play with them and talk with them.